Cool, so as the title says, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to turn a sketch into a digital, much cleaner image. So this is the sketch I'm going to use. This was actually a commission I did. This is what the customer sent me, client, customer, whatever you want to call it. So as you can see, it's super blurry. I think it was taken on an iPhone. It was sketched out and it was sent to me like this. So I'm going to take you through the process of how to turn this into a digital logo that you can put on clothing or whatever you want to do with it. So first of all, we're going to open it in Photoshop. Then we're going to open a new page. I'm just going to open an A4 page, rotate that so it's landscape. And then drag the logo onto there. So the first thing I did would be to get the main color of the face of each letter. So I'm going to go to the pen tool here. That's P on the keyboard. And then I'm going to go to the curvature pen. So when we go on the curves, it's going to like automatically do it for us basically. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to go around each letter, just going around it with a pen tool. And then I'm just going to color in the first front of each letter. So Command Enter to close that and get the marching ants, as they call it. And then next, what we're going to do is just fill this in with the color. So to do this, it's brush tool, B on the keyboard. Then you're going to hold Alt and then you're going to click on the color. And it's, as you can see in the bottom left, it gives you the exact color that you've clicked on. That's called color selection. So I'm going to go in there and make it more vibrant because it's a bit of a washed color because of the image. So I'm just dragging that to the side to make it more vibrant. Click OK. Then yeah, just going to color that in. I'm going to make sure my brush is on the full hardness and the opacity as well. Cool. So next, what I'm going to do is open a new layer. That's in the bottom right in this box here with the plus sign in it. And this layer is basically going to be for the stroke we're going to put around the shape. So yeah, on that new layer, we're going to do the stroke. So we're going to go to edit, stroke. I'm not too sure what the thickness will be. So I'm going to start off with a 10 and just see how that looks. And for me, that's way too thin. So I'm probably going to boost that to like a size 15 stroke just so it's thicker. Cool, that looks a lot more accurate. Alright, so now I'm just gonna label the layers. You do that by double clicking on them. So this is our stroke layer and this is our original color fill layer, just so it's less confusing for you guys and myself as well. And I'm even gonna label the original image layer as well. And yeah, after this, you just want to do the same for the rest of the letters pretty much. I'm the man, I'm about that action, putting on weight like Bronson. Soon we'll tour with all of my brodies, doing up shows and concerts. Worldwide thing all over the continent, doing up mosh in Asia. Ain't got time for a roster hater, manually in for the paper. Also different, brand new flavor, swear on my life that mine's so sweet. Go wanna taste, but I ain't got time cause I don't wanna beat and ski. Boss like Ross, Jean Chase like me, on the move, can't take a seat. Humble guy, no halo, still I'm fly like Angel, man, I want peace. Ain't got no time for the bitch. Could have out, we getting lit. My stay in the clip. Yeah, yeah. You're gonna hang with the crew. Smoking Gorilla Glue. I wanna cop a coupe. I like my options on my bed, he's coming too. Alright, cool. So that's how it pretty much looks after I'd finished doing that. So the next thing I'm gonna do is duplicate the stroke layer. So that's click on that and then Command D. And that gives you a copy, as you can see. And then we're going to click Command T on the keyboard. That's going to bring up this box that we can move exactly what we want to move. And then I'm just going to drag that to the back of the drawing. So that way we have the correct perspective. The fact that all the strokes are together, when we move one, everything moves. So everything's lined up perfectly. Cool, so once I've positioned that, I'm just gonna drag that layer below everything else, just so it goes behind as it should be. So you wanna just click on a layer, drag it down just above the original image. And then the next thing we're gonna do after this is coloring the edges. So how we do that is the same way that we've been doing the letters. So we wanna open a new layer, plus box in the bottom right, pen tool, P on the keyboard, standard pen tool. And then we just wanna click here, and then we wanna basically do it from point to point. And then you wanna basically do that all the way around. Then we're gonna color this in. So Command Enter to complete that path. Cool, and then as we can see from the original image, the side color is going to be a bit darker than the original. So to do this, long story short, what I did is Alt, click on the original blue, go into the color selection area, dragged it down to make it slightly darker, and then colored that in. Cool, and then just gonna do that for the rest of the letters now. Cool, so now we've done that, we're gonna click on the same layer. We're gonna go Command, and then we're gonna click on the image panel for that layer. That's gonna select everything. And then we're gonna open a new layer again. You guys know how to do that by now. Then we're gonna go to Edit, Stroke, and then we're gonna put the same stroke around the edge. Make sure the color's correct, the same thickness. And then we're gonna put a stroke around that. So there you have it. That's pretty much complete. So I'm just making all the layers invisible just to see what we have to do next. And as I can see on here, there's some sort of gradient. I don't know if this was done on purpose or maybe the pen wasn't so great, but I'm gonna put this gradient in. So what you need to do this, you need to go to the color fill layer, do Command, click on the image on that layer. This is gonna select everything. And then what you wanna do next is open a new layer. We're gonna do this gradient on a new layer basically. So that's the plus box in the bottom. We're gonna go to the brush tool. We're gonna click B on the keyboard. We're going to turn down the hardness all the way to 0. And then we're also gonna turn the opacity down to 70, just so we've got a nice soft brush. And then the color, obviously I've made darker than the original blue. So all you need to do is click on one side, hold Shift, and then click where you want it to end. And that'll basically give you a straight line all the way through, instead of you having to like do it by hand and it's all wonky. So this is kind of how it looks. I think maybe it's a bit too dark. It kind of blends in a bit too much with the stroke. So I'm gonna leave that layer invisible for now. And I'm just gonna continue on with the rest of it. Cool, so the next part we need to do is this highlight part here. As you can see, there's all these little highlights on the letters. So again, to do this, we're gonna go back to the layer where we colored in the sides. We're gonna select that. We're gonna make the brush white, make sure the opacity is low and hardness is all the way down to 0. So opacity at 70. Basically what we're going to do is go back to the layer we've colored, Command, click on the image on that layer. Then we're going to open a new layer on top of this. So that's the plus box in the bottom right hand corner. And then we're going to make that same layer invisible. And we're going to color onto our new layer. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the gradient. Click where you want it to start, hold Shift, and then click to where you want it to end. And it's going to give you a smooth straight line. And then you just want to do that for the rest of the letters as well.
Body, soul never felt good this way. Lately
And as you can see, there's a line here as well. So I'm just going to draw this in manually on the stroke layer. So just going to use the pen tool and then color it in. And cool, that's what we have so far. So it's taking shape. And then there's the gradient. So what we're going to do next is this thing right here. The customer slash the client, I don't even know how to say it, told me that this is like an elephant footprint. And then as you can see, it's over the rest of the letters as well. So the first thing that comes to my mind is, let me go to Google and type in elephant footprint PNG.
That's search and destroy, search and destroy. Keep everything square, of course, search and destroy.
So basically PNG means transparent background. So if you're lucky, you're gonna get an image with no background or at least a white background, which is easy to remove.
Destroy. Expensive source, I shape it around your...
So to remove this background, I'm gonna get rid of this black part at the bottom with the eraser tool. Then I'm gonna go to open a new layer. Then we're gonna go to select at the top, color range. Then we're gonna click on the white background. There you go. Click OK. Then delete that layer. And then hit backspace on the keyboard / the delete button. And then this is just gonna delete the background. So after you've done that, or after I've done that, I drag it onto what we're working on. Then I'm just gonna reposition the size. I'm gonna color it in also. To color it in, select the whole thing, command, click on the image, on the layer, and then I'm just gonna make this a gray, like on the original drawing.
Shut the test, that means I hate you in French. Bow, ayy. I want some gets on my wrist. You're at the bottom of my list, bottom of the list. When I see you, shoot to kill. Get hit with the pole, I'ma leave you still. Yeah. Get hit with the pole, I'ma leave you still. Watch me shine, don't step out of line. Money is time, don't be a waste my time. Ayy, don't be a waste my time. Bow.
So I'm gonna label this layer elephant foot. I'm also gonna duplicate this layer. That's Command D. And then I'm gonna make that invisible, just so I'm gonna manipulate this one in its perspective. So I wanna keep one still original, you know what I mean? So to manipulate perspective, we go to edit, transform, perspective. And then I'm just gonna tilt it more to the side like it is on the image.
Yeah, don't spray too close, blood. Spray some more stuff. Christ. Hey, where's your mask, blood? You got your mask, blood?
Cool, that looks good. So we're gonna do the exact same thing we did for the letters with adding a stroke. We're gonna open a new layer with the image still selected. We're gonna go to stroke, get the same color stroke that we've been using. And I've used a 15, but I think it's way too thick. So I'm probably gonna reduce this down to like a size 10 stroke.
Quarantine, call me Quentin Quarantino. My life a movie like Robert De Niro. Yeah, my thunder gets the Neros. I want the sides, I want the pheno, ayy. I don't want to talk about zeros, ayy. I just want to talk about, you know.
I don't wanna talk about nothing. I ain't talking for no zeros. My nigga still whipping that pirates. There's a virus, let's go to ski on a D-Lo. Bitch, I ain't bluffing. All of a sudden, she ain't sucking no dick, she a hero. You already know I ain't cuffing. Something in the air, I ain't touching shit, I ain't bucking no swear I'm alive, I gotta stay alive. I'm building up on that vitamin 5. We gonna be alright. Got my mama on rolls. Yeah, gotta stay indoors. Let's talk about suffering. Let's talk about summer up in quarantine.
So all I'm doing here is exactly the same thing we did for the letters. Yeah, I'm not gonna explain all that again, but you get the idea.
I want the pheno, ayy. I don't want to talk about zeros, ayy. I just want to talk about, you know. They tryna put man on quarantine. Call me Quentin Quarantine.
All right, so I'm gonna make those layers invisible again, and I do this by clicking the eye icon next to the layers, and then I'm just gonna put in the rest of the elephant prints. So the layer that we've hidden of the elephant foot, gonna make that visible again. Command T, so we get that selected, and then I'm just gonna drag it into all the positions that it needs to be in.
It's a fantastic planet, planet, yeah. Get a boy, just landed.
Yeah, talk about missing your honey. They had a shack in the weeds, yeah. Government want me out.
Cool, so once we've done that, I'm gonna put a drop shadow on it. So you want to go to the FX button down here, go to drop shadow, and then here is where you just mess around with angle, distance, spread, size, blah blah blah. So I'm gonna match it as closely as possible to the original image.
Talk about zeros, man. I just want to talk about. They trying to put man on quarantine. Call me Quentin Quarantine.
That looks about right. Click OK. And then all I'm gonna do is Command J on the layer. So this is to, actually, what am I talking about? Command D, yeah, to duplicate the layer. And then I'm just gonna rotate it and put it in the correct position. The good thing about the drop shadow tool is even though I'm rotating the shape, the shadow always stays on the same side, if you know what I mean. So in the first one it's on the right hand side, and then the left one is still on the right hand side. Alright, cool. So that's pretty much everything for all the letters. What I'm doing now is just merging all of the elephant foots together. So to do that, clicking on one layer, going all the way down, holding shift, clicking on the layer below, and then Command E, and that merges all the layers together. So the last thing I'm going to do is add in the clouds. So of course, back to Google. Then I'm going to type in long cloud vector PNG. So yeah, this first one on the left, this can work. I'm just going to have to change the colors. And basically a vector is a solid image, because it's a more realistic transparent cloud wouldn't have worked so well. And this just makes it easier for you to print on stuff like t-shirts and stuff like that. So as we can see in the original, the clouds are white. So to change this, I'm gonna open a new layer. So that's the plus box in the bottom right hand corner down here. Then I'm gonna go to select color range. I'm gonna click on the color I wanna change, click OK. And then I'm gonna delete that layer and change my brush tool to a white brush, and then just go over that.
T'es censé être une fille sage, j'essaie de changer d'image, je reconnais plus ton visage, il disparaît comme un miracle.
And then you would just do the same for the rest of the colors as well. You'd repeat that process.
Je me suis jamais mis le voile, on dirait qu'apparemment t'as mis ça. T'es censé être une fille sage, t'essaies de changer d'image, je reconnais plus ton visage.
Another way you could do it is just by clicking like this and sort of making a path with a pen tool and then coloring in blocks. That's what I actually did on the original. But to speed this up, I'm just going to show you guys the one I made already. So this is what it looked like after I was finished. So I'm going to drag that back onto the original file. And then I'm just going to position this. So make it a bit wider, change the height, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going to make the original image invisible. And as you can see on a white background, it blends in too much. So we're going to add a drop shadow to the clouds as well, just to give it more visibility. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me change the background to a dark gray just so you guys can see it a lot more clearly. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's the final design. I'm going to show you what the original was. I made this twice. I'm going to show you what the actual one was for the client. This was it here. So there you have it. How to turn a image, even a very poor quality image, into a digital logo that you can print on a t-shirt. You can, do whatever you want to do with it. So yeah, hopefully you liked that video. Hopefully it was useful. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bow.